my host,
Nathan Taylor. Good to see you,
co-host,
man.
and our special guest today is Robin Harris. Robin Harris is your compliance and audit like galore. You're an expert in that industry, right? And you're a future YouTuber, famous YouTuber, right? That's what we're going to introduce you as. Everyone's going to want to listen to you about compliance and audits for IT.
Yeah.
So, Robin, I know you've been in the industry a long time. You're a vet. So, can you please tell us more about yourself, what you do, what you love about the industry?
Well, I started way back in I'm going to date myself a little bit. I started in high school. I was one of those geeky kids in the computer club. And from the computer club, when I went to college, I actually got my first job working in a computer room at GM. And that was
Oh,
the time
wow.
when you had to put the magnetic tapes on and people had the cards. And if you dropped the old box of cards, it's like, oh crap. So I finally got out of school and my first job was with Ford. And I've worked in the automotives, and for some reason, automotives and Blue Cross Blue Shield, I would just jump around. So I've been at all the automotives from Michigan and
Right.
Blue Cross for about probably the first 10 years of my career. At some point,
Nice.
I ended up in with IBM, and that was when they started outsourcing the IT jobs, like
Okay.
really big time.
Right.
And my manager says, you need to pivot. And so this is really important. People need to understand this for what's happening now as we move into the AI era. You need to pivot. And so she directed me into project management. And
Hmm.
from project management, so I was managing IT projects.
Right.
And from there, that as SOX came in,
Hmm.
um, we had to do an assessment for one of the large clients. It was part of Ford,
Right.
and I was put on that project, and that's what sent me down the compliance path. And I just never deviated. So I got laid off from IBM, but it set me up for like 12 years with ADP doing
Nice.
compliance, bringing in ISO 27001, doing internal SOX audits, just all things audits in any of the remediation projects. So that's kind of the unique thing is I'm not just the auditor, but when it's time to put in a new system that's going to, support the security or do the remediation, I would take those all the way through implementation and then make sure everything's audit ready.
You know that you're a special character if you're able to do that kind of stuff, right?
Right?
Okay.
No, he's right. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, thank God there's people like you, because that
Yeah.
Yeah.
stuff, my eyes just roll into the back of my head, and I fall asleep. I just can't do it. So
Oh,
grateful for
yeah.
people like you.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could do it. It doesn't mean that we're great at it. It's like the same question, like, how did you secure this? And then how did you secure this after you secured this? And then how do you yeah,
Can you prove
it's a
it?
lot of,
Can you
yeah.
report on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please provide proof that you did secure this. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So and I wanted to get into I retired from ADP. Interestingly enough, they wanted people back in the office, and then I was like, ooh, that 2-hour drive because I'm in Georgia.
Right.
People don't understand. You might be going 12 miles, but that 12 miles could be an hour drive. And so they were like, but it's not that far. I was like, it's like a 2-hour drive to an office. No. And then of course we go into COVID, right? So now everybody's
Right.
working remote. But and I had a little stint where I was working with the individual clients, helping them take their expertise online, doing the video and the technology and all this other kind of stuff. I love online technologies. I love this space. I think it opens up so much for the everyday person all the way to the bigger companies. I love that this just creates to me a fair playing field for
Mm.
everybody to come in and do something if they have the desire to kind of level up. So that's what I was doing with clients, who had this deep expertise, but they were like, technology, you know. So, and then, like I say, I was doing a lot of video with COVID. It's like, so I ended up having to go back to work, but I was like, I want to work in the cloud. So I did a 10-week full stack developer boot camp because I was like, I need to know what these people are doing right here because you can't secure it if you don't understand it. So I went through
Right.
that and I was like, okay, I want to work in the cloud. So everything I did after that was all cloud based. And was now that's a whole nother level of exciting, right?
For compliance.
Well, for people,
Yeah.
because so many people, it allowed them to play at a whole different level. I started when everything was on-prem. Well, if you're a little company or whatever, you can't compete with some of that. But now when you start talking about in the cloud, now you done created a whole nother level of where people can come and play and really thrive. So every time I see that, I get excited. So the cloud. And so now we're at this new jump, AI.
Mm.
Oh, every time
We're back to it. It always comes back to AI
it's
these
not
days.
going away, Robin. We talk about AI almost every episode.
Oh, it's not going away. It is
Oh
not
no.
going away. And I am an advocate, but I'm compliance and security. You don't just throw something out in the wild and say, "Oh, we'll deal with the fallout later." No, no, that's absolutely the wrong way to do, especially with this technology. We don't want to clean the mess up later. We want to get it right coming out the door. So I
Well,
feel real strong about that one.
Oh, you think there's going to be some genies that have to get put back in the bottle, huh? I think that's a
You
good take.
I don't think you're not going to be able. The train has left the station,
Yes, yes.
so it's not going back in the bottle. And one of my concerns is that it's going to touch every area of life. I started realizing, when I was working for Pax8, I I really started realizing that security isn't just like a business conversation. So we would have these conversations because you need to be talking to your kids, you need to be talking to
Mhm.
your spouses. My husband's rolling his eyes. It's like, is this another one of these security things? I was like, yes, and grandma, because every area of our life is being impacted by these new technologies. And I've had people who've been scammed and who've been hurt.
Mm.
And I was compromised in one of these big things where the company is like, "Yeah, we're sorry, we can't afford to pay for this. We're going out of business." And oh well. Yeah, but now your social security number is floating out there on the dark webs. Oh well. And the impact to people's lives, it's like people don't understand when you have people's data, you can do you gotta be
you can do some
this is like
damage.
why I love the security part. You are the guardian.
Mhm.
You are the guardian. They're trusting you with their data, their kids' data, their seniors' data. You got to treat that data like it's their life because it tracks back to you can destroy lives when that
Mhm.
data gets in the wrong hands and people start doing bad things with it. And AI is just going to put that at a whole nother level that we're just kind of like, it'll be all right. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be great, but we got to put the guardrails in.
Yeah.
Well, that's a deeper conversation, right? The guardrails. What are the guardrails,
Right.
right? I think that I ran into. I mean, Nathan and I've had this conversation a few times, and we talk about security, permissions, all those other things, because people, co-pilots can be great, but you can also search, comp plans, like other people's information if you don't have all the data segregated properly, compliant, right? So
Right.
but they don't. I think it is becoming a bigger conversation,
Yeah.
but people don't realize what the heck it means until they're like, oh, that is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Well, the big challenge is like AI is not inherently, it's like fire. Fire's not inherently bad. It's just dangerous if you mishandle it or set it in the right place or you play with it in the wrong place. Um, it just kind of accelerates and exploits where it's at, right? So the problem is not AI on your Microsoft 365 tenant. It's your lack of data governance in your data in your 365 tenant. AI just makes it easier to exploit. That those files were already accessible by everybody. They were already in the wrong spots or whatever the challenge is. It's just accelerates that access, but it does it in a way that's exponential. We've always had the ability to keep up with the security risks. Or traditionally, if you were trying, you could generally try to keep up with the security risks. Oh, we now have phishing. Okay, now we got phishing tools. Okay, we now have these 0-day exploits. Okay, I'm going to get rid of Symantec and I'm going to put in Sentinel-1. Right, you were always staying ahead of that. I think AI just makes those problems accelerate so much quicker. How quickly and how broad they can challenge you.
And when people don't have the foundations in place, now you've gone from a little crack to a canyon, right?
Right.
And that's where some companies are truly not mature enough for this technology. It's dangerous. It's like giving a child a bomb, right? They're just not mature enough because they haven't put the foundation pieces in place. So even with the foundation pieces in place, we're going to struggle to keep up. But when you've neglected the foundations, it's like something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. And
Yeah.
True. It's true. I like it. So honestly, could you tell me a little bit what is going to be your future fame with YouTubing? What are you going to YouTube about?
I pivot a little on in that vein. I'm actually I write stories. I'm a writer, screenplay writer, fiction writer.
Okay.
And so I'm using the metaphor of my channel is called The Second Act. And it's based on a 3-act story. Particularly, I love the hero's journey because that is how people grow by stepping into those challenges and going out from their comfort zone and heading out for the adventure and facing the dragon, meeting their allies and mentors and climbing that mountain. And, so my channel is called The Second Act. And I really want to encourage people. I really, 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 really want to encourage people as we move into this AI era. People have to be prepared to pivot.
Hmm.
They're going to have to pivot.
Yeah, I think it's a great call.
And if, when I was back in the day and they were outsourcing, there were just people, they were angry. Oh, they're outsourcing the good tech jobs, blah, 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 blah. But you could not get them to learn the modern coding standards. They wanted to stay in, COBOL and Fortran. It's like, no, 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 you gotta you, and they just didn't want to do it. So they got swept off the playing field, right?
Right.
This is going to happen at a whole nother level with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not pro I am not pro, let's get rid of all the people and just use AI. That is like the most wacky and insane things unless you can get AI customers. That's not a good model, but people have to be prepared to learn new skills, to dig deep because so I'm going to go a little bit off tangent a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Humans Human intelligence, we're using like this much. And while we're all enamored with AI and the artificial, for the most part, we've neglected our own potential. We don't, our school systems are crap. we we just, you can't get people to read anymore. I mean, it's like, seriously? Seriously? This is the world we want to leave to future generations, where they're not thinking, they're addicted to social media. Now we're going to have new diseases related to thumbs and neck, all this other kind of stuff. And so while I love technology, we're neglecting the real treasure.
Of social media thumb or like
Yeah, the real treasure is
Yeah.
human intelligence, that we kind of
hmm
like, we don't get it. We don't get it.
well, I think what people are scared, Robin, you know the definition of technology?
What?
It's the application of scientific knowledge for practical purpose, especially in industry, encompasses a wide range of tools, machines, and systems and processes that are designed to solve problems, improve efficiency, and enhance human capabilities. So I think
Yeah.
when people like, if we really want to put it that way, when people are like, "Oh, technology," like it really just takes away the mundane, right? And you can still use your mind. I think that, and like you talked about schools, like why aren't we teaching our kids to use it better? You know,
Yeah.
there's some. I don't remember half the stuff I learned in school. To be honest, I didn't like history until after school. Now I
Right.
love the History Channel. I love history.
Yes.
Nathan loves space. I didn't know that. Right? I can't say that, but I will say I didn't read my first book all the way through until I was stuck in Iraq.
Oh my gosh.
I read The Hobbit all the way to the end of Lord of the Rings
Oh,
nonstop.
wow. Wow.
And then I watched the movies and I was like, this is awful. They left out Tom Bombadil.
It's funny you
Sorry.
said it's funny you referenced that book, because when you were talking about the second act, I was like, oh, you're talking about The Two Towers, the second book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's what came to mind.
Yeah, yeah. We're at some point people will realize, but there are a lot of people, they haven't learned anything since they got out of school.
Sure.
In our industry, if you're going to stay in really connected to our industry, you have to stay learning.
Yeah.
But every career and everything is not this industry, but that technology is going to touch every industry.
hmm Yeah.
So,
Especially
and
by
that
coders.
gets people thinking. And here's the thing: we gotta, how this some of this stuff that's coming out. I'm so tired. Like, I'm on YouTube. I'm that's probably my addiction. But like all of these ads, oh, this AI too. Now the AI will manage your calendar. I don't want AI to manage my calendar. Can AI wash my clothes, or do something useful? I don't need it to tell me, oh, go to this meeting. Oh, this meeting was canceled. So some of these people are running out creating stuff, putting AI into stuff. And then when you go and I'm person, I'll go and I'll buy it as long as I don't have to make a commitment or there's a money back. Okay, I'm gonna go see, because they said this thing is gonna come up with these YouTube titles and it's gonna be awesome. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I only subscribed for a month, because it was awful. It was awful. This one thing, it's like, oh, the AI will create your website for you, and all you got to do is tell it about it. And I'm like, you just keep saying the exact same thing throughout the whole page. You're just saying the same thing
But
over and over and over again. And I'm
but I
like,
think that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is like why aren't in school, AI is not going away. So why are we teaching the kids to use it with their own input?
Right.
Like Nathan had talked about, I'm a bullet point writer. I don't write paragraphs very well, but I can bullet point the heck out of stuff. Like this point, this point, this point.
Yep.
I'm a point person. Hey, AI, please take this and put it in a paragraph form and write more details into it, because I'm a very, point generated person. That would be helpful. It's still my idea. It's just taking it
Yeah.
and putting it and making it more broad, right?
mhm,
And and things like that. I try and do the art, Robin. I always like to like, hey, create me a logo for this. I can't find one that I really like ever. The only ones that I like are the ones that I say fun. I think we're sitting in a meeting and I was like, can you make a leopard floating in a hot air balloon that's purple? And it was like, and we have it. It's pretty funny, but that was the one I liked of all the
Right.
things, just to joke around. But it takes human intelligence to actually like actually come out with something intelligible
Yes,
or
yes,
something
it
that actually
does.
makes sense. And so
Yes,
it's
it
not just
does.
gonna do it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And another thing that would be helpful, because I've used it to write policies, to write
Yes,
project
Yes.
plans, and then I have
Yes.
to edit them. It did a terrible job with the standards. I was trying to get it to do the new standards for ISO 27001, and for some reason, it just got every single clause number. I was like, "No," I'm yelling at it. "No, I said the 2022 version," and it still kept giving me 2013. I was like, "Oh, never mind. I'm gonna go look up the numbers myself and type them in myself." That's another thing, is you cannot detect the errors if you don't have the
Mhm.
knowledge to know that they're errors.
Well, yeah. This is a thing I think we're going to really run into in the future is AI is generative, but it's also incredibly derivative. And so what's really going to be there's going to be this moment in 3 or 4 years where we're going to hit like, oh no, because it's going to go AI was trained on all this content that was mostly generated by intelligent people, right? So, hey, everything you know about science was generated from textbooks written by scientists who know it well. AI now knows it, and now it can generate cool stuff from it. But AI is writing so much content, and the content is of a quality that you can't tell. We're going to get 4 or 5 years down the road, and AI is going to be writing content based on content generated by AI. And then you won't be able to go, well, what is really true about this topic? This says that, you know, there's, unicorn colored daffodils out there. It's got to be true. It's written here on this site, but it's all this layers and layers of complexity where can I trust this video of a politician? Was that generated or was that real? Can I trust that this politician said this? Can I trust that this war is happening? I'm not in this country where they're blowing each other up. And that ability to then go back and go, how do I know what's actually real? Is where, that experience and knowledge will be valuable, but it will be a very difficult problem because I think we have a lot of very deeply ingrained nature about how we assess risk, we assess truth, we assess things, we process things. And I think AI just is this chaos agent in those processes. And it's going to be wild to see how culture adapts to it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there was did you hear about the whole Amazon book thing, mushroom foraging book?
I think I heard piece about it, but tell us about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell us the story,
So
Rob.
somebody hijacked the style and book cover and expertise of a legitimate mushroom forager. And they used AI to generate a fake version on Amazon
Oh no.
that had inaccurate information.
Oh no.
And the family used that book and ended up people in the hospital.
Oh no.
Because they ate the wrong mushrooms.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Wow.
That is okay. It's okay to mess up the ISO clauses,
Right.
but and then a family member was like, they were talking there in the medical, and they're like, the doctor was trying to use AI to do his notes, and she was like, this is not correct. You can't submit this. They want, so our over reliance, because it sounds like, do you ever know, you know people that they sound like they're very intelligent, but they're like, "Yeah, that ain't true. That never happened," but they make it sound so real. So AI sounds so authoritative.
Yes.
It sounds so accurate. It sounds so confident. You don't even question it.
Mm,
This is gonna be a problem. Like
it
you
will be.
said,
It
when
will
we get
be.
down the line, and I had a problem with my computer. I still haven't fixed it. I cannot get it, my Mac, it keeps crashing, crashing, crashing. So I didn't, Google, tell me how to rewipe and reset. And I was like, and you know how it gives you the AI generated stuff? I was like,
I mean, I,
I better check this. And I'm glad I did because the information was not accurate.
yeah,
So, again, what are we
Yep.
going to do when we've embedded all of this inaccurate data
Right.
and we can't get back to the sources?
Right. Right. The sources are all not trustworthy. And like, is that going to become a career? Data verifiers. You're going to go re-verify all the data on a topic. And, I mean, it's just
That
wild
sounds
to think through.
fun. That does
Oh,
not sound like a fun profession.
oh,
yeah.
audit.
It's an audit.
It's an audit.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Robin, what's your favorite AI tool?
Let me see my favorite AI tool.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, I tell you, video editing. So back in the day, rotoscoping, because I was working on a little film and I had to make people disappear and all this other kind of stuff. And I had to do all the rotoscoping by hand. So painful. So, so, so painful.
Yeah.
Now, in all the major tools, it's done through AI.
Mm.
What
It does it on
took
my Pixel.
hours, what took me hours to do is
Yeah.
click, click, click.
And I take a picture of my Google Pixel, and I'm just like, up, not check, move, remove, and like on the phone, it's pretty awesome. It's not the same way as like going into Photoshop and changing stuff. But what about the one you use to search? Like, which one do you use to do most of your, creating of policies, things like that?
I actually still like I like ChatGPT.
Okay.
I do, but I'm not having any deep conversations with it. But I do go, like I told you, I paid for a tool that was supposed to give me these great YouTube titles. And I was like, okay, I'm going to compare what I
Right.
get out of Chat GPT. I was like, me and my husband were reading the ones from Chat GPT. It's like, oh, this was good. Oh, I could write a whole, oh, yeah, that just got the juices flowing. I was like, free or the paid tool that gives me less? So I'm like, cancel that subscription. I'm going right back over here to ChatGPT to get my no, it's not gonna write my scripts for me. It's not. I don't want it sound. I'm not putting my voice into that tool so it can steal it, my tone or anything like that. Just give me the facts, give me some bullet points, and I'll take it from there. So I use it for a lot of things, and I had started using Copilot for like doing policies and
Mhm.
and then I have to go in and edit them and work them and take this out because that doesn't make any sense, and but as a starting point,
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
great
it's
tool.
wonderful. I wouldn't trust it for, what do you take if you're poisoned with X, Y, and Z, or, I wouldn't ask those types of questions. Certain things don't do that. Just don't, okay?
Don't ask it what mushrooms to pick.
Right, right. Don't.
Bad
Right. Right.
idea. Someone on the
Um,
internet gave it bad information.
that's it. Copilot writes amazing job descriptions. I gave it a 3 sentences and it put out something. I was like, this is brilliant. It pulled in a bunch of like inferred information. Well, if you're in that sort of role, these would be expectations. Like, I didn't tell you that, but I love all of those. Thank you. And it
Mhm.
was brilliant. I mean, it would have taken me a couple hours to pull that together. I would have had to go find some references and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
did it in 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I just tweaked it from there. Literally saved me 3 or 4 hours yesterday. So that's amazing. Robin, when we were prepping for this call, you mentioned something interesting. So to change topics a little bit, speaking of tools,
Mhm.
let's get your opinion on the EULAs around AI tools.
Oh my
Uh-oh.
gosh. Oh
Uh-oh.
my god.
Oh,
End user license agreement. So that's a little thing you agree to when you first sign into software.
Yes. Oh my
tell
god.
us, Robin.
People with AI, you guys got to be so careful. I know nobody likes reading those EULAs and the terms of services and all this kind of stuff, but you don't know what you're putting at risk, especially if you're bringing something into the company or you're using it with something that represents your intellectual property, your likeness, your voice, your inspired genius. So there's a tool out there for video editing. Everybody loves it. It is from the same company that does TikTok,
CapCut.
and it's free.
Is it though?
Go read the terms of service. If you keep reading, go get all the way down. Basically, they say, don't put anything into CapCut that you can't transfer the rights to us, basically, because basically they have irrevocable rights.
To create the to the
Irrevocable
content.
rights for anything you put into it to share with other users and to use for derivative products.
That's one of those ones they recommend not to have on your phone, because it can
Right.
also, if you actually read the installation agreement on your phone, it can basically copy your phone.
Yeah.
So read the EULA for the actual app itself. That's even worse, because then it actually has access to all your data on your phone, which is a lot of stuff.
I uninstalled TikTok also.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
uninstalled it.
It's gone anyway. It's fine.
But even with Adobe, there was some problems with Adobe, the licensing. They
Yep. They
offended,
tried that same thing.
they offended a lot of people, which sent people running to alternative
Yep.
tools.
Yep. About this time last year, they updated their EULA on all their Creative Cloud products and basically said, anything you create with these products, we have rights to. So we're going to train our AI model off of your work. And, you have millions of creative professionals who go, I charge people thousands of dollars for my creative skills, and I do it in Adobe. And you're telling me you're just going to take that work and do it for free for other people? Like,
Yeah.
I can't use your
Anything
product.
into their cloud.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Now you're doing clients work. You sign an agreement with the client.
Right.
Then you
Right.
put their work in that environment. Then their work gets you. That's a problem.
It's a big problem.
That's a problem.
And once again, this is all moving so quickly that it's so hard to get ahead of. And I mean, you want to talk about a security problem. Okay, we have the compliance problem and the data governance and the data sovereignty idea here we're struggling with. Do you as a corporation have the ability to keep the 21-year-old marketing intern from doing that? Oh, I just transferred this to my personal Mac and I did this quick with this
ChatGPT.
video editing software, ChatGPT, and I did a quick Google, and this software solved my problem. I did the work, put it back on my work company laptop, and here it is. Can you control that? Those are hard problems to solve technically, because it's just very difficult to stop that. I had a customer early on in the AI season say, "Hey, I just want you to block AI from all my customers, all my employees' stuff." And I said, it's not going to work. We can try. We could say, hey, we're going to use that as SASE solutions. So I was like, I can block some of these sites, but it's embedded in Google. It's embedded in Bing. It's embedded in Meta's
All
products.
Microsoft.
It's embedded in half the websites. There's so many places to get it. I cannot control access to it that way. We've got to do, you can add some data governance on your documents. So if you have sensitive documents and their rights protected, that's a really good solution for the AI can't read it, right? Unless it's Microsoft's AI. Or you need to start having policies where like, well, you are not allowed to do this. Now that doesn't keep people from doing it, but it's at least step one, right? It's that whole, in order to build an approach for a product like this, you can't start data governance until you understand what data you have and what you need to do with it, right? Oh, I have a million data governance policies. Yeah, but what data do you have? Well, I don't know. Well, it's worthless.
The whole thing about AI sprawl, it's an ecosystem. All of security is an ecosystem. And so one company, how many companies or third parties do you leverage to perform your business functions and serve your clients? Now, how many people How many third parties do they use? And then how many third parties do they use? And if you have something deep enough in that has a breach, it's like you got an infection in your baby toe. That doesn't seem that, it's just a baby toe. 6 weeks later, you know, you're losing a foot or something, or
Right.
worse. You see what I'm saying? So so security as a system, as an ecosystem, we have to have each other's back.
Right.
That's why you really need to only be dealing with companies. You want to know you're dealing with a company that you can trust, that they take security and compliance serious, and that they're doing the same thing. And that's kind of where your security, compliance, and audit comes in. Because yeah, we can't catch everything, but we can see if you do this poorly and this poorly and this poorly, you're not
Yeah.
committed to security.
Yeah. And I like that also, that idea of like, okay, we've got to pick the AI we can trust and give it to people. Don't
Yes.
hold it back. Like
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
hey, go use Copilot. Oh, are you sure? Yes, please, because I at least trust Microsoft to do.
Right.
They can't afford to not do the right thing.
Right. Right. Oh, you're on
Totally
mute.
lost them. You're on mute.
Did I drop
What
out?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
there.
Just a muties.
A phone call came in on my Mac. You know, I guess I got to do an out of office on my Mac here, and it took the mic. But at least you know Microsoft may do some stuff for like it was on the edge, but it's they're selling that data sovereignty, right? That's one of the things they're selling, and that's what I've told a lot of people. You'll get customers who come in and go, hey, I want to take all of my ERP data and put it in data lake and run AI against it. And I go, man, that's I don't think you understand the consequences of that. How do you control that data? How do you make sure that once that AI has access to that data, that your front desk person can't ask for, hey, can you tell me what everybody's making on salaries? Or can you tell us how much profitable we were this year? Well, if you put the right data in there and don't have controls around it, it'll answer those questions, right? Like the data governance gets very complicated in those tools. And so I think a lot of times is like, hey, I really want AI against this thing. Great. Well, does your ERP, or you name the product, commercial product, have an AI plugin? Oh yeah, I have it in, my Salesforce has an AI plugin. It's probably a safer bet to use the Salesforce AI than to roll your own, because at least they've got some understanding and culpability of what they're doing with the data. In this wild west of things, I think it's valuable to lean into the vendors you trust to
Right.
roll the AI
Right.
into the
Right.
products.
Yes. Yes. That also, because the AI makes it so easy for somebody to just throw something out there and say, hey, I've got this tool, give me access to your calendar. Like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Or give me access. Something, it was like something we do, it was some tool, and it was talking about they were going to be looking at your contacts. I was like, you're over here in this universe. Why do you need to look at my contacts?
Right.
That was very strange. That's one of those, very suspicious. Sometimes it feels like these people create companies so that they can harvest data,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
that they can get
Oh,
data.
100%.
it doesn't feel like that. That's the reality, right? That's what Google built their empire on. That's
Come
what.
on.
Yeah,
Tesla's a data company. Don't
correct.
get it wrong. Like that's 100% more
Yes.
a data company than it is a car company when it
Mhm.
Yep.
has all the roads mapped, how to drive, AI, all the information. Like that's nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ibotta, right? There's this app that
There you go.
a lot of people are using to go make money off of their purchases. They literally do nothing other than harvest your shopping data and sell it to other people, and they give you money for it, and they give you decent amounts of money, which tells you how valuable that data is. It's
Yeah.
literally a data harvesting tool, so it's very common.
Very
So
true.
Yeah, I think people need to actually start understanding the value of their data and where they're putting it. And it gets weird when we start talking about our families, because try to tell your teen or your
Yeah.
relatives that they shouldn't be,
oh man.
doing this
Yeah.
or that,
How do you
And
make it fun and teach everyone to do it?
yeah.
Mhm.
That could be
Yeah.
your YouTube channel.
Yeah, the data game. I got so tickled. My husband saw one of my little YouTube things from work where I was talking about data retention, and he was like, "You know those books and CDs and stuff? We need to have a data retention policy at the house." I was like,
Mm.
"Okay, I'm not letting you watch anymore." But he's right. He's right. You know, it's like how long you know how much data do you need to keep and how much stuff do you need to keep from back?
Yeah, it's true.
It's very
Very
true.
true. Very true. Well, Robin, we're about end of time here.
Yeah.
This flew by. We had a blast.
Yes.
Is your future famous YouTube channel up and running yet?
No, it's not.
All right.
I'm doing a 1K. I'm doing a YouTube challenge next
Okay.
week to get it out, but it's called the second act.
Okay.
Second
Well, but
act.
if you
Awesome.
have it, send us the information.
Okay.
We'll try and put it in the podcast if we have by that time. If not, we'll put it on our LinkedIn or
Okay.
something like that.
Perfect.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Robin, I know you're also, open to new roles, new opportunities right now. So,
New
how
adventures.
how do people find you if they want to have further
I am on
conversations?
LinkedIn, Robin Harris. I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll tag you on LinkedIn as well. So
Okay.
we'd love to see if we can connect you with some awesome people who need your amazing services.
All right. Thank you so much. It was
Wonderful to
wonderful.
meet you, Robin. You have a wonderful time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Brandon bailed, but